Hello, my name is Peter Hurst-Hopf, and today I'll be presenting on silver and its many applications. So first and foremost, silver holds a very important place in my heart in the fact that my grandfather collected it, who then passed down that collection to my father, and then that was passed down to me. I own the largest collection of silver in my family, and it's a personal point of pride for me, among many other people. Silver is valued by many people, which is interesting because 90% of all silver that has been mined in the entire world has actually been lost to landfills. The reason being is because most silver is actually used in a variety of different ways that many people don't anticipate. For example, it's used in the automotive industry, as it's used in mirrors, as well as it's used in plenty of other technologies that many people might not be aware of. Today I'll be speaking to you about the importance of silver and how silver has played an important role throughout history by defining what silver is, its use throughout history, as well as its current supply and its effect on demand. So without further ado, I'll get started with the presentation. So what is silver and why is it important? Silver is a relatively soft metal in the fact that it's also shiny. And it also is very conductive, which makes it very useful in technology. It is for this fact, and indeed, that silver has been used for quite some time, and the fact that it was actually used since 3000 BC when it was first mined. In 400 BC, it was used by both Greek and Roman societies in the form of coinage. This slide here actually depicts a picture of a Roman coin called the denarius, which was very popular in ancient Rome. In 8th century AD, in Anglo-Saxony, which is now known as England, silver was made into a more familiar coin that you're probably more familiar with, which is silver pennies. Up until 1971, 240 silver pennies equaled 1 pound. In more recent history, particularly with the Aztecs and the Incas, they were one of the civilizations to use the most silver in the fact that they used it for jewelry as well as serving vessels. That was up until the 16th century during the Spanish invasion when all of that silver was acquisitioned. And at one point in history, the Spanish had 7.4 million kilos of silver. And this was mainly due to the fact that the Spanish used it in their monetary system as well as to finance their expeditions. In other aspects, silver is used in religion in the fact that a common tradition was to have a silver spoon. Most people are familiar with this term silver spoon as a fact that people were born into a wealthy family. Additionally, in 1743, a man named Thomas Bolsover actually invented a way to coat copper with silver to make silver more accessible to the public, which also increases popularity. So, now that we understand the importance of silver throughout history, we're now going to focus more on the common uses today. So silver is used in a variety of different ways in our current society, particularly with something called silver paint ink within nanotechnology. So nanotechnology is very interesting, the fact that it can be printed on many different things, such as silicon and glass and various other substrates. It's used in printed electronics such as circuit boards, as well as radio frequency ID chips, and plenty of other applications, such as most common thing is printer. Other uses are its use in mirrors because it is actually the most reflective element in the entire in our entire existence that has been discovered by man of light. Additionally, it's used for its antibacterial properties in the fact that it's able to neutralize the odors in sweat so that you're not as smelly. Additionally, it's also used in silver threads in gloves to allow us to use gloves with touchscreens. So now that we understand some of the common uses of silver, we're now going to focus on how this affects the supply. So the current supply of silver is actually represented here in that one tiny cube right there, which is 52 meters. That cube is roughly about 1.5 billion tons of silver. However, that might seem like a lot at first, but consider 90% of that silver has actually been lost to landfills. Additionally, in the United States alone, there used to be 10 billion ounces of silver before World War II, and after World War II, when we moved more towards industrialization, only 8% of that silver that we once had remains in terms of bullion form. So, how does this affect the demand? So the demand has been increasing within recent years, particularly in the automotive sector, which accounts for 60% of all silver usage. It's particularly used for safety features as well as window defogging, electric and hybrid vehicles, among chemical applications as well as LED lighting. The list goes on. But primarily the most common uses is used in alternative energy, such as solar panels as well as nanotechnology, which has helped countries to move away from fossil fuels and actually protect the environment. So how does this affect what we see in current market silver trends? So if we look at this graphic here, we'll see that the light green region here is actually the amount of silver that's been used in in the industrial sector, and has increased in recent years due to our constant demand. So after having learned all of this, what can we conclude? Silver is a very diverse market in the fact that it's used in many different technologies. It has also dwindled in recent years in terms of its supply due to our constant use in industrial supplies without recycling it properly, as well as its use in conductive properties, which make it incredibly useful in technology. And throughout history, we've used it in plenty of different ways, such as in currency and to back different financial expeditions. And furthermore, what do you believe silver looks like in the future? With this dwindling supply and this increased demand, how do you feel that silver will fare in the future? Do you feel like it will increase in value? Other than that, these are my works cited, and